G'day folks. I just got in from half a day's work and a bit of mucking around. Haven't even turned all the lights on just yet. But I was a little bit tired and after work, that sort of thing. Generally don't like having to work Fridays, but I do every now and then just to pitch in for the team, and well, I found something which kind of made my day. Totally worth it. This was at the junkyard. It was the only thing that seemed to have not been rotated into one of the big red bins. It's obviously come off at an angle, bounced off the side of the bin and landed in the muddy water next to it. Originally I thought this was just going to be another generic Pentium autopsy until I saw that. And it's like, oh my god, this is awesome. So with a bit of luck, I'll crack this thing open and it'll be a complete Pentium Pro system. Vectra XA, Hewlett Packard. As you can see, it's a bit dirty, no massive dents or anything, but it came down in that corner fairly hard. It's creased the metal and there's muddy, dirty muck all through it. So I'm going to have to clean this up a bit, and the reason why I haven't even turned the lights and things on yet is because I just want to open it and start drying things out. But yeah, it's a XA6 200MT, so probably 200 megahertz. Yeah. So anyway, let's clear the table and open it up. But also in the dirt near it was, well, range scrap. Don't know why I bothered grabbing them, but apparently there was about 4.5 to 5 metric tons of, it's just a mixture of dirt and bullets that had been screened from the local military-based pistol range. And because there was so much dirt in it, like rocks and gravel and other muck, they deemed it completely not worth trying to separate, just pushed it over into holes and used it as clean fill. So now we've got bullet type clean fill. Interesting. Most of them, if not all of them, are also either solid copper or a total metal jacket, which the jacket's closed up around the lead core. So they're actually environmentally friendly. It hurt like hell too. They look like 40 caliber. They're too big to be 9mm, which is that. But that looks like a flat nose 40. Too small to be 45s. Maybe 10mm. Don't know. It's military, so it could be 10mm. Anyway, I've got bigger things to play with. We've got that. We've got some more topsies to do. We've got reasonable weather outside and getting better. So, yeah, should do a bit more out here. Little cars sitting around doing nothing. Nah. One of the ladies at work, or my supervisor I should say, has a Daewoo Lanos, and she was just asking me what scrap value was for it because she let it get out of rego. They've already got 2 or 3 cars at the moment. They let it go out of rego too long and it needs too much for a full roadworthy, so I might end up with that, just a couple of $100 at the most. It's a reasonable model. Like, there's nothing. I haven't seen it, but last time I saw it, it was a very nice, clean, tidy car, so it's just another example of a decent runabout being made redundant by Australia's ridiculously high standards for roadworthiness, and or more so the excessive cost of getting it roadworthied. Like, the cost of getting that car back on the road is basically the same as what it costs just to buy another one that's already on the road. And that was the same argument that I had with people about why I don't get the little white Festiva little car back on the road. There's more wrong with that than there is with the Lanos, and I'm not paying 2 times the car's value just to get it back on the road for sentimental value. No way. It might as well just be used as a backyard car and then parted out. So yes, more people offering me cars. Well, she hasn't offered it to me, but I actually suggested putting it on eBay. I'd rather see it go on eBay. People probably pay silly amounts of money for things on there, so why not? Anyway, computer needs to be checked and dried out. And I need to turn some lights on because it's getting dark in here. Oh, look at that. No sooner than I put the camera down, I see a postal van arrive in my driveway. Thank God I got the camera out front, or he would have had to leave a message and I'll pick it up from the post office tomorrow, but nah. Well, actually Monday, because the post office isn't open. I know what's in here. We can do some capacitor popping tonight. It's not to do with actually popping the capacitors. I want to see how fast they're going. That's a chronograph. Well, there you have it. Hasn't been opened in a while either. No, well, at least no one's touched anything. That's the CPU in there. It's one big chip. Right, that's a big chip. The board does move around a little bit. This little standoffs broke off. decent solid state capacitors by the looks of it. They're not your regular kind. And luckily, even though there is muck around here, that foam gasket seems to have stopped most of the crud getting in. There was water on the side cover, but not much. Like, it ran out. I kept it that side down when I picked it up, so it all just ran out. It doesn't appear to be on anything, but I'll take this cooling duct out. There we go. Yeah, there's no water or anything on the boards or the cards. It's got a network, it's got a dual port network card in it, sound card of some, oh, it's a Creative CT2970, so it's just an old ISA Sound Blaster card. It's like a game port and monitor. What is that? There's no RAM expansion on it, but it's got those trademark slotted Torx screws. They're all still firmly in place. That one just looks a bit bent. I wonder if the whole chassis moved. But it doesn't look like it. Yeah, that card's still locked in. And of course, SCSI. Adaptec SCSI card. And an old Quantum SCSI hard drive, which may or may not have survived the fall. It did land in soft mud, so it explains why the chassis is not damaged, and maybe the hard drive survived it as well. We can only give it a spin and see how it goes. And there's room for 2 more. 3 more. Sorry, yeah, it'll take another 4. Or is, oh no, it's not a connector, that's a end terminator or whatever you call it. But we've got 1, 2, 3. Maybe 4 if you make use of that end connector. Made by 3M. So that's good. No need for a high alert cleanup or anything like that. This thing looks mint. Absolute mint. I might just chuck a regular fan on that for the time being. Trying to run it without the top on the, or without something over that duct will lead to overheating. What's it got? Primary IDE, secondary IDE. There's nothing on the primary IDE ribbon because it's all SCSI. Yeah, not bad. Well, the power supply I was sort of questioning because there's a bit of moisture down the bottom, but the tide mark hasn't reached the main board, it's just down in that bottom corner there. So that's pretty clear to go. I'm just going to give it a good blowout with the air gun and a wash with contact cleaner. And just blow it out, get rid of any moisture, clean up the water that was trapped between it and the bottom of the case. Everything else is pretty much right. It's very easy to service. Mainboard's a lever lock system. You pull this up and pull the board out. Of course you have to remove a few cables, but that's about it. That little track there is what's broken away, so I've got to Sikaflex that down to the chassis. The little tabs are broken off it, but that'll be alright. Yeah, if this thing works and boots up alright, I'll pull everything out of it and just wash the case. I'll pressure clean it, soapy water, whatever. Wash all the mud and crap out of the casing. There's a few chunks just floating around in there. And yeah, to actually clean this thing right up. And the front of it's been wet, like it's been out in the rain. No doubt about that. But it's dried out enough that it's safe to run. Sheet metal fillers. I do have a tube of new heatsink compound, so it wouldn't hurt to do this without losing the damn clip. Trying to do these things one-handed is not recommended. But there we go. 256K cache, 200 megahertz. That's a proper Pentium Pro. Compound's not too bad, but you can see it's only contacting on one side. This thing probably was never happy to start with. I don't know what side the main core's on, but that's not such a good thing. I'm glad I took that off. That or the heatsink isn't flat. But no, it looks like it's had contact. The glossy bits there. There's a bit of oily stuff from the compound, but they just haven't put enough on. Good call. Always check that. Okay, well that's the power supply washed and dried with some electrical cleaner. No water or anything in there. I might just blow over it with the heat gun just before I fire it up, but we should be right. That's the model of it. It's made by Aztec, China. Seems to have done pretty well so far, assuming it still works. I'd be willing to bet this computer was dumped simply for being slow. That seems to be the case these days. CD-ROM's made by Panasonic. It's an 8-speed IDE. It's even got a laser part number. You can replace the laser in it and they actually supply a spare part. They don't do that anymore these days. Yeah, it's still a bit dirty, junky, but hopefully it works. CPU cooler's back on, which is good. Fully seated with new compound on it. Well, I think I'll put the power supply back in after drying it out a bit more, and well, turn the power on and see what happens. I'll put a monitor on it. A little D-sub connector there that doesn't have mud in it. That won't hurt anything, that's just cosmetic dirt at the moment. The sockets are all clear. We should be right to go. Yes, finally a complete Pentium Pro. I should get the other one out of the cupboard. That's an ATX main board. This one's an AT main board. I think the one in the cupboard's a bit faster as well, but this one also has an extra power connector for the CPU. Because it's got its own little, there's a magnetic choke and its own regulators and things there. They're 3-volt regulators. That would be what would kill this project if I couldn't find another one of these, because this power supply I probably don't make anymore. So it'd be a matter of working out what those feeds are, even though it looks like it's just black and brown, plus another 2 smaller wires. Don't know. Probably wouldn't be hard to hotwire a normal power supply to work with it, but it'd be a matter of finding out what the voltages are, because that is, get it off there. There's 2 wires paired up there. One almost looks like maroon, one's brown. It's 2 thick brown and 2 thick black, which are probably 5 volt or something like that. And then it goes down to the 3-volt regulators there. 3 point whatever, I don't know what voltage these would run. Probably 3.2 volts. But let's give this a run.